for Bring Your Own Lunch. Personal stories about the business with my daddy, Dave T. Koenig.
All right, come on in. Have a seat. Welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at BringYourOwnLunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this podcast, I thank you. As you heard at the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell dude. I've never really been into award ceremonies, and, well, up until this point, the feeling has kind of been mutual. And, of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now. BYOL is the hashtag you can use if you want to hop on board via social media. Like us on Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. You can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at BringYourOwnLunch. And if that's too much for you, if you want a more traditional route such as it is, you can always go to the website, the mothership, if you will, BringYourOwnLunch.com. That's where you can find all the information about the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future. And you can send me a personal email, Dave at BringYourOwnLunch.com. Now, speaking of guests, I've said it before that one of the beautiful things about this podcast is that it gives me a reason, an incentive. It gives me the ability to reach out to people I hadn't seen in quite some time and reconnect and find out what they've been doing since the last time we spoke. And in this case, that's definitely true. But it's also true that I get to meet somebody for the first time through this podcast. My guests this week are Jezabel Montero and Margo Singaliese. They are partners in a film company called Fuacata Films. I love saying that, and they'll explain what that means in a little bit. But not only are they partners in that, they are also partners in life, and they both have a film that they are very proud of, and in fact is going on a really, really fantastic festival run right now called Cassanova Was A Woman. It was directed by a guy who's been on this program a couple of times, Kevin Arbouet, and they are really, 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 really excited about this project, and I understand why. It's a story written by Jezabel, and it stars Jezabel and Margo, and they are both revealing their lives and opening up what's gone on with them through their film, and it's a really cathartic experience, I'm sure. And it's a funny film, it's a meaningful film, and it's certainly getting a lot of attention for various reasons. And it is partially biographical, as they explain. And I think one of the best parts about it is that it's reaching out to people who may are unsure about their own lives, and whether or not they fit into this crazy world, and gives them a reason to think, well, maybe I'm not alone in this whole big thing. So we'll talk to Jezabel and Margo about their experience. And, of course, we start off just me doing some catch-up work with Jezabel because I hadn't seen her in 17 years. She and I go back, way back, in one of my earlier careers, working as a traffic reporter for Metro Networks in New York City. If you're not familiar with how traffic works, here's a little secret. When you listen to your traffic report on one radio station, the person who is speaking there, and I hope I'm not ruining it for you, but the person who is delivering the traffic report is nowhere near the radio station that they are reporting for. So let's say you're hearing a report on Station A. Well, the traffic reporter for Station A is not sitting at the radio station A. They're sitting somewhere in a central location. And not only are they not sitting in that radio station's offices, they're providing traffic reports for many different outlets and sometimes in many different markets. So they may be reporting on traffic on Long Island, and at the same time, they are 5 minutes later reporting on traffic in Atlanta and maybe even in Nebraska. Who knows? That's how traffic works these days. It's an interesting thing. It's definitely changed over the years, but when I was doing it, I was working for a cable channel called the MSG Metro Traffic and Weather Channel. It was a traffic report service delivered on cable TV. And as I've said before, I think on this podcast, but on others as well, it was the dumbest job I've ever had. I was giving traffic reports to people who were home because by virtue of the fact it was delivered over cable television, nobody hearing my voice when I was delivering this news was in a car. So nobody was anywhere near where traffic was actually happening at the time I was telling them about it. And by the time they got to wherever that traffic may be, there's a very good chance that traffic has altered dramatically in the time between when I've given them that news and when they actually got to where that news occurred. So I found it to be a very frustrating experience because it seemed like a Sisyphean task to try and give these reports every 10 or 15 minutes to people who would not be able to do a damn thing with that information. The only good part about it is that I got to learn about some really cool people and meet some cool people and worked with some very cool people. There was an office that was set up just for the traffic people at these offices on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan that worked on the cable-only traffic reporting, and the rest of the office was dedicated to working with television and radio stations all over the place, but primarily in the New York metro area. Some of the real big names in traffic reporting worked out of that office, like Eileen Marchese Cohen and Joe Nolan and Heather O'Rourke, who's an old friend of mine who is doing amazing things now. That's where they were all working at the same time. And my friend Brian McKinley, who I'd known from Hofstra, he hooked me up with this job there. And I worked from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. in this room that was way too small for 5 people to be doing reports all at the same time. It was the most bizarre thing ever, but the cool people I worked with always stuck with me. The main crew that I was working with was Sue Aller, who now does the Sue Solution on various radio stations, Freddie Tavares, Len Harvey, who was a funny guy. There's a guy named John, who was a former cop, who would tell us about stories of his exploits being a cop in the 80s in New York City, in the Bronx, which was insane, really amazing stuff that he told us about, and it was mind-blowing for me at the time. Linda Lopez, Jennifer Lopez's sister, who's done a lot of news stuff in the New York metro area, she was among the crew. There's a guy named Tom. I wish I could remember Tom's last name, but I can't. But he was great. A couple other people who would weave in and out. Tim Tyrell, who's in radio still. Danny Gale, who was just one of the nicest people ever. My old friend from Hofstra, Adam Chandler, who is not Adam Sandler, but that was always an easy joke to make. And the people you would meet made you sane, because the job certainly wasn't going to keep you sane. And one of the people who would come back and visit us in our little hovel of the cable television traffic reporting phenomenon known as MSG Traffic and Weather was Jezabel Montero. Always super nice, always super enthusiastic, always super energetic. And I always thought very, very well of her. And thanks to Facebook, I got to reconnect with her. And then just through meeting Kevin Arbouet and getting to know his work, I realized that he worked with Jezabel. And it was kind of amazing to me because I didn't know Jezabel had any interest or experience or anything like that in any sort of entertainment field beyond traffic reporting. All I knew is that she was the bilingual traffic reporter on various radio stations that she worked with. So it was very cool to hear that she had this movie that she wrote, but I didn't know much more about it than that. So this was my opportunity to go talk to Jezabel, find out about this movie, and then find out where it all came from, and fill in some of the blanks that were there, obviously, that I never filled in over the last 17 years. The surface of which were only scratched when I was working with her for a relatively very short amount of time. So I got a chance to sit with Jezabel, I got a chance to sit with Margo, and I'm very glad I got to do it because they are both very, very cool, and I really like what they're doing with Cassanova Was a Woman. So that's coming up in just a moment, but before I do that, gotta thank Banooba, Banooba.net, Banooba.net. That's the band that plays the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show. They are fantastic. I would love for you to go check them out. Buy their music, download their music, go see them live. And if you do, tell them Dave says hi. And if you really want to help this program, you really want to help Bring Your Own Lunch, takes 2 seconds. You can just go to iTunes or Stitcher, rate, review, subscribe to the show. Tells iTunes and Stitcher that we're doing a good job and that they should tell other people that we're doing a good job so that we can get more people listening to this and then eventually keep it moving so that we can continue doing this for as long as possible because it's a good thing. At least I think so. All right, let's get into it with Jezabel Montero and Margo Singaliese. Partners in business, partners in life, filmmakers, producers, directors, actors, fun people. You'll hear why. All right, here's Jezabel and Margo. Enjoy.
You and I have not seen each other for a long, long time.
That's what you say.
That's what I say. Well, do you remember seeing me sooner than I remember seeing you? Is that?
I don't know. Dave, I remember you from, in radio when we worked in radio. I remember your face and everything.
Yes.
I don't remember actually seeing you day to day, working every day with you.
Because we didn't. Every day? That was the problem.
Okay.
That was the problem? Well, that was the issue. I won't declare it a problem unless you think of it as a problem, which is very flattering. Yeah. But, you and I worked for a very short amount of time for Metro Networks when you were there.
Me too, yeah. Me too.
Yes. And I was working in the cable traffic room, which was like, we were like the experimental.
You were the stepchildren.
We were definitely the stepchildren. We were not loved universally by everybody at Metro.
Even adopted.
I don't even know if we liked ourselves. Yep. I think it was pretty much not a very friendly environment.
It was the chamber.
We were in this tiny room with 4 of us broadcasting at the same time, and in a massive amount of heat and personalities and scorn.
Oh my God, that's funny.
And we were way overworked. We were there for 8 hours at a time. And every once in a while, we got to sneak out every once in a while and get to know.
And eat. Like she said, sneak out and eat.
It's so funny because we didn't have the ability to take a lunch. So whatever contact.
I didn't mean that literally, but okay.
Yeah, no, we didn't have time to take a lunch hour, so we worked 8 hours straight with these like 10-minute breaks in there where we would maybe have time to run downstairs and get a hot dog.
Oh my God.
It was awful. It was an awful job.
Well, I used to come visit you. Now I know.
Yes.
Now I know.
You used to come into the room. You were one of the people who we really, really liked because you were very friendly and you were very accommodating and you didn't make us feel like we were a science experiment.
No, I know. Oh, thanks. I
always had fond memories of you working at Metro. Now, for you,
I totally remember.
Yes.
I totally remember. Remember, was it Leonard? I remember Leonard,
There was
right?
Lenny. Yep, Lenny.
And then there was a couple of women.
It was Sue.
Yes.
Who still works in radio.
Browning. Right?
Susan Browning, who was another really nice person.
She was there a little while, though, on that side.
She worked a lot on the other side, and I didn't work as much with her. But there was a crew of us in the morning from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we just all at different times wanted to kill each other. But this is about you.
I know, and the thing is, I tend to like fringe people.
Yes.
So because sometimes
they're decrepit and they like come out of like facets.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Were you one of those?
Yeah,
was I one of those creepy people who came out of the ground? Yes. I was a very, very strange
person. You get away with that in radio. You haven't seen him. He's very handsome.
Oh, thank you so much. That's where I learned the phrase, a face for radio and a voice for newspaper.
That's good, Dave.
That's the only thing I take with me from that. But okay, so describe your job as a traffic person for Metro Networks at the time.
Well, at the time, here's the thing, because we worked so early, I actually had to be there. You said 5 to 1. I worked probably, I had to be there a little bit before 5. The first report was at 5, so it was 5 to 11, my schedule.
5 to 11, okay.
I hated, abhorred, detested, any more synonyms I can think of, I will say them, morning, that time of day.
Yes.
Because I was a theater actress. I was primarily a theater actress.
Okay.
I've been doing professional theater since I was 13 years old.
Okay.
My first professional acting gig was at 13. And so, we have rehearsals at night. And even if we have rehearsals during the day, the shows are at night.
Yes, of course.
So, I'd get home after a performance at 11 o'clock. And I was doing theater at the time, very much.
Yes.
And I would get home at 11 o'clock at night and have to wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
So at the time, you were still doing.
Yeah, I was acting.
See, that's interesting. See, this is the kind of stuff I didn't learn while I was there. I just assumed everybody, in case I was young and stupid, I assumed everybody there was a professional traffic person, and that's all they were interested in. Maybe you had a couple things on the side, but you were definitely doing theater that whole time? Definitely,
the whole entire time. The way I landed in and this is an interesting story, the way I landed doing in radio, first of all, I did do a lot of voiceover work. We all do it at one time or another. Yeah. We do some voiceover work. But the way I landed in radio in particular, as opposed to commercials, voiceover commercials, was I was in this theater company, Spanish Repertory Theater Company, a very prestigious one. It's been around 50 years. And one of the women, I don't know if you remember her, Brenda Feliciano.
I don't know.
Okay, she was doing Spanish traffic reporting.
Okay.
And she was working at the theater at the time. And somebody had asked her at Metro Networks, do you know any bilingual people that would be willing to do radio.
And there you were.
And there I was. And she asked me. I did a demo tape and I got the job.
And how long did you end up working there?
3 years.
3 years. So you lasted a lot longer than I did, because I think I was there for about 6 months or so before I burned out and was done.
In the dungeon. You were in the dungeon for 6 months.
Yes.
Until you said, what's that thing?
More, please.
More, please.
Yeah, I was.
May I have some more, please?
I had total Stockholm syndrome, and I was able to recite the traffic reports on Long Island from memory, verbatim, because they never change. Long Island traffic. There is traffic. Go do something else with your life instead of sitting in traffic. Right. That was it. That was all there is to say about it.
I remember.
So that's interesting to me.
So anyway, so I started doing the traffic radio, but I was still doing theater, and I'm primarily an actor, actor. And then, I was doing a lot of theater, and so, this is a segue into the film that we're going to talk about. And we address this in the movie in a very subtle way too, about ageism. After a while, when I reached the age of 35, over 35, the roles for women started to dry up, even in theater.
Yes.
So I said, and I always wrote, I wrote comedy. I did a lot of comedy, sketches and skits. I never did stand up, but I always wrote.
So you did stand up for the first time when I was at Metro. I remember talking to you, very specifically. I remember you talking about how you wanted to try stand up. I wanted to try,
but I never did it.
You did it though, you did it at a party for the Metro people.
Oh yeah, the roast.
That's when I was there.
Roast.
Yeah, but it was your
worked,
first.
It was fun. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. People were
laughing. That was one of the
laughing.
things you and I talked about. But before you get into the present day stuff,
sure, yeah,
because I want to give a little bit of a progression.
Sure.
Because I did not know about that past of yours earlier, or even while we were working together, that you were an actor. I just, I knew your career as a radio person.
Sure.
So where did you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Brooklyn, grew up in Queens, Astoria, Queens. And then when I was a teenager, my mom moved us to Miami, the Cuban Mecca. Oh. Because I'm Cuban. Everybody ends up in Miami at one point or another if you're Cuban.
That's the rule.
It's the rule. It's written down somewhere. And so I ended up in Miami as a teenager, hated it because it wasn't, when I was there, it wasn't what it is now. It was basically a swamp.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't as developed.
I was living in a swamp, yes.
Okay.
Jez, but you're not mentioning why you went to Miami, why your mom brought you to Miami.
Oh, because what's funny? My mom and I, her career, she's an actor. She's a pretty famous soap star. Her name is Jezabel Montero.
Okay.
But she wasn't at the time. But our careers kind of parallel each other because she was in radio too. And she went to Miami because she got a great radio job.
Okay.
So she took the kids with her,
Sure, of course.
So she started doing radio too. And so we went to Miami. I didn't like it. As soon as I could get out, I did. I studied at UCLA, majored in theater.
So you went pretty far. You went from New York to Florida
Miami
to LA. So that's a pretty good trek.
Yeah.
Why UCLA?
Because I wanted to get away from the East Coast. I was tired of New York because I grew up there, and I love New York, but I was tired of it, and I was definitely never liked Miami. And then LA seemed like the next best step for an actor too, and the UCLA program was number 2 in the country, next to Tisch, NYU Tisch.
Yeah.
So I got accepted, and there weren't a lot of people that got accepted into the program, so it was pretty exciting. That was pretty exciting.
What was the program like for you?
Oh, I got to say, my experience at UCLA was like one of the best experiences of my life. I mean, I got to do main stage productions, which, unfortunately, not all the students get to do because you have to audition to get into the productions after you've auditioned to get into the program.
Which is pretty strict.
It's terrible because then because there's so many students you're paying for the education,
sure,
and you end up never doing a show,
right.
So that's not good. You want to do the show. You want to get the experience under your belt.
But you do learn the rejection that is necessary.
Yes, that's what I think they want you to instill in you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then
rejection.
They want to instill rejection in you from an early age.
This is your life.
We need to know that's Margo Singaliese, my co-star, speaking.
Oh, hi.
Well, right. I would hope I would have.
It's this phantom voice, Dave, coming out from
nowhere.
nowhere.
In the introduction to this, I would have taken care of making sure people knew there wasn't this detached third person just randomly coming by and drive. It's like a drive-by of comments on our podcast here.
Queen of addition.
We're gonna get to Margo.
I'm punching Dave because he's too funny. He's going along with us, and it's very good and very funny.
Well, your energy is infectious, and it's hard not to. I'm sure you've been told that your energy is infectious, and it's great.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, I have been told that.
All right, so you went through the theater program at UCLA.
It was great. It was a great experience. I learned so much. Made some great friends that I still have to this day. And but at the time there wasn't a lot of theater, and I really, really wanted my chops to be honed in theater.
Yeah, especially back then. LA didn't have theater as a standard. Yeah,
No.
barely anything at all.
No.
So you really had to come back to New York.
Exactly. I came back to New York, and it's so funny. When I came back to New York, 3 months in, I auditioned for Spanish Repertory Theater, and I got in. I got in, and I'm a bilingual person, completely fluent in Spanish and English. So I was doing Spanish theater, which was new for me too, because I had never really done Spanish theater. And it is different because the intonation and the way you speak and the way you construct sentences is different. So it's challenging.
Yeah, give an example of what differentiates the two in terms of, stylistic or technique wise.
Well, it's just that when you're speaking in another language and you want to be convincing, you really need to. It's the inflections. The inflections. Like if you say, "Can I have a drink of water?" In English, you would say, "Can I have a drink of water?" Maybe in Spanish, it would sound, "Can I have a drink of water?" That's what it might sound like, that intonation in Spanish. So it's completely different. So sometimes when people, where Spanish is their second language, do something in Spanish, as I did, you sound like a gringo. Even though your accent is perfect, your intonation is not correct, and you totally stand out. So I had to actually learn about inflections and intonation and rhythms, not just accent, not actually just pronouncing the word.
And you didn't have that naturally growing up speaking Spanish.
No, because I was born here.
Because of the Americanized version.
And then, Dave, you find a lover and you travel the world and you'll go to a place that speaks, let's say, Portuguese. Let's say we've been in Brazil. And then you find yourself speaking English as if it's your second language. And it's your only language. It's frightening. That's what
it does happen when you go to another country.
You start saying, "I'm going to the house of my brother."
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. No, that makes, yes. When I first started learning Japanese, which is a completely different sentence structure.
You learned Japanese?
In college, I took a couple semesters of Japanese, and the sentence structure is completely different. Yeah. And not that I started speaking it that way, but I started in my head putting sentences together that way.
Right.
Which is totally bizarre, but now that you mention it, it makes,
it happens.
Yeah,
she was doing that, and she only knows English.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the power of the second language.
It is.
And that's interesting because you and I were talking just before we started rolling about doing voiceovers in different languages and how when you see a casting notice for a fluent language, you think, okay, well, I can speak that language perfectly. And, I said, maybe I could fake it. But what you just said there right there is that you can't fake it.
You really can't.
Yeah, that people will know the difference between somebody who is a native speaker from that country and somebody who learned the language somewhere else.
Right. So it was a little easier for me. It was like a crash course in inflection and intonation, in the sense it was easier for me because I could kind of imitate it because I came from it.
Sure.
So it was definitely easier for me than somebody that's not from a Latin background and Spanish-speaking background. So that was easy. So then the jobs came, the radio, the acting jobs. I've done Spanish soaps, and I sound like people think I'm from Cuba or Venezuela or some other Spanish-speaking country because I've got the intonation.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's an aspect of it that I never, ever considered.
Really?
Because, well, if you think about it, if I only learn English language theater, let's say, or if I'm only ever going to deal with an English language script, maybe you change it a bit for different dialects and things like that.
But it's not,
But can I have a drink of water is going to be, can I have a drink of water whether I'm speaking with a Southern accent or a British accent.
That's right.
You don't have to change it all that much. But I guess the only difference would be if I was trying to speak with like a Nordic accent and I emphasized the wrong syllable, but that would be for effect and not necessarily accurate to somebody who was actually from Scandinavia. So that's really fascinating. It's stuff that you
don't think about.
No, absolutely not. No, and you go through that specific training in a unique way if you are bilingual to be able to be a bilingual actor for real.
For real.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
You do. But I'm very fortunate in that way because I like that. I like making, and it's incredible that the brain kind of knows it.
Yeah.
I go into Spanish mode and I just do those inflections and that accent and all that. And then I go into my English. Although Margo says sometimes when I come back from Miami, I sound like a Latina. I start talking like this, all the time.
That's enough. And the hand goes up. You always know.
Yes, all of a sudden I come from Miami and I start talking like this, like with a Spanish accent. Yeah. And she said, "Why are you talking like that?" I said, "I don't know. I came from Miami."
Or if somebody speaks to in an accent, we're all actors here.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice you answer. I once pulled into
This
a
is
gas
funny.
station.
Yes.
And someone started going, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" You went in for, and I turned to this guy without even realizing it. Said, "And what do you want?" I'm moving up to the top. And I didn't realize he was doing
I
it.
know, and she doesn't even speak. It was hilarious. She didn't even speak like
you
that.
speak it honorarily. You're an honorary member of the Spanish-speaking.
No, this was
Italian
American.
And I am
Italian
an-
American. Well,
I
see,
am
that's
an
closer than I
Italian
am. I'll
American.
tell you that much.
Where are you from? Koenig. What is that?
Long Island.
Irish, no?
Sounds like the coffee.
Koenig
Is
or
that Koenig? Koenig.
Koenig.
German?
Is that Irish?
It's German,
It's German.
/ Austrian. So yeah, it is as pale as one can be. Yeah. So I have no Latino
wear it
roots
well.
whatsoever.
So you
Thank
don't
you very
tan.
much.
You're not
Yeah.
tanned, right?
I
You don't
no.
tan.
I have
This
to
is
wear.
the tannest you get.
Yeah, I have to wear SPF 120. You know, and when I put it on, I get cold.
And a hat.
Yes.
So
and a hat.
basically, it's a raincoat. What you're wearing on the
Yeah,
beach.
yeah. I wear
SPF
yeah,
120
right.
is a raincoat.
Backwards.
Yes, exactly right. So in the terms of you were able to hit the ground running and get jobs
Yeah.
pretty
I was
quickly.
very lucky in that sense.
And I think you still are unique in that sense. You know, a bilingual speaker who can convincingly play American or some other ethnicity or some other nationality, I should say, is still pretty rare. And do you find that that's perpetuated things moving forward?
Yes and no, because what happens is some of the, and this is what we're saying about accents and inflections, and I think in my personality, there's something that's different from what you say is pale as possible, you know. So, so I look pale, blonde hair, blue eyes. But what happened is when I turned over 35, and I became a person over 35. I won't say where I am over 35. But
No, not required for this. You know,
Club. It's a very wonderful
I know it's a very
club.
unique, nice club.
Cupcakes.
Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome.
yeah, the
So-
over 35.
That's right. The over 35.
That's right.
The roles in general started to dry up. But what I found was, which is the story of my life, I have a documentary called Blondes Are Latin too, and it won 2 awards, and it was in 7 film festivals across the country. It was a short documentary. I wrote it, produced it, and shot it. And, I say Blondes Are Latin too because I would go into an audition looking the way I look, for an American role, like speaking English,
Right.
perfect English.
Yes.
And they were like, well, wait a second, what's your background? Montero, the curly hair.
They couldn't deal with it.
They couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't what you would call WASP enough. And then, of
Interesting.
course, I go to play a Latin role in the American market, not in the Spanish market. In the Spanish market, everything goes. But in the Latin market, I would go for, the American market, I'd go for a Latina role, and you had to look like Jennifer Lopez, or you had to look like Sofia Vergara, you had to look, so I didn't fit
Interesting.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing is writing stuff myself.
Right,
Basically.
right. And I guess it's
and writing
definitely-
about that.
Yeah.
And about those issues.
I think that's you mentioned that
We got a few
magical
minutes.
35, and that's I think that's it's obviously there's challenges for it, but also it gives you that life experience of being able to tap into what you know
Yes.
and you can do and start creating your own things. So that is obviously what inspired you to create your film. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that film.
Okay, so Cassanova Was A Woman. It's a romantic comedy. It's your basic romantic comedy directed by Kevin Arbouet, who you know very well.
Yeah, it's been on the
also.
show twice.
That's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, which
just-
is fantastic coincidence
I
as much as
know.
anything. Yeah, very cool. I was like, hey, wow, yeah.
Yeah. He's great. He did a great job in the movie. And so this is my third project. It's my first feature film. It's my third project. I did Blondes Are Latin 2, and then I did a dark comedy thriller called The Basement, and then which was a short film.
Which was a gift to me on my
she was in
so-and-so
it.
birthday.
Margo was in it.
Yeah, pretty bizarre. It was very bizarre. It was almost
You'd have to see
porn.
it. I'll send it to you.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
Almost porn. Yes, that's what I do.
It wasn't
Almost
really.
porn.
It was funny, but it was.
It's
not
a
what
little.
I
It's a little blue,
expected.
but it's blue because there's a twist, and I can't give it away because you have
Yeah.
to see it and people have to see it.
Well, no, there's no reason to give it away.
Yeah.
But give with the basic gist of
Well, the premise
Casanova
is
Was A Woman
Casanova
is
Was a Woman. No. I'll give you most of it. We're talking about The Basement. No, because we were
Basement.
talking about The Basement, the film The Basement. This is my second short.
Yes. Yeah, well, I was not trying to give that one away.
No,
Since
no,
it's a
no.
short, and if
yeah.
you give away anything, it's a short film, you're going to give away too much.
Why even
true.
mention the title if it's a
It's
short?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, it's about a basement. Done. Yeah. I
People
get
like
it.
to again basements
Roll the
dungeon. You
credits.
notice the theme, Dave, that I like. So anyway, Casanova Was a Woman is a romantic comedy about a woman, loosely based on my life. I would say 50% of it is true, like verbatim, but 50% of it is all made up, which we all have to do, embellish a little. It's based on my life. It's this struggling actress who doesn't fit any stereotypes. And it's also LGBT. She discovers she's bisexual, and she's married and meets a woman, and something happens, a surreal situation. Well, I put it in the synopsis so I can say this sort of naked guy, really hot, muscular, naked guy who becomes a figment of her imagination, just follows her around, giving her advice on what to do about her life.
And I imagine that's the 50% that's true to life. Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. How did I know that?
So it's up to you to explain which aspects are true life and which ones are fantasy, but what part of that is your real experience?
Well, my real experience is I consider myself bisexual. Also Latina. There's a Cuban flavor there because I bring in the family. So a lot of these situations that are based, everybody loves family situations and family dynamics. Sure. So a lot of the family dynamic is true. And so you see that. And then the fact that I was married, that I had a husband, that's true. The actor. The struggling actor, not fitting in, being blonde, blue-eyed Latina, definitely true. But there's a lot of the situations that I had to create to convey these things in a format with an arc, and with a storyline that doesn't go off into a million things. So that's all made up.
When you create something like that, do you jump right in and kind of share some of those details with the world, or was there a process where you kind of had to build up to feeling comfortable with telling everybody about the intimate details?
I think what happened is with the way I write, I have a beginning and a middle and an end. I literally have it. This is the way I want the movie to start. This is where we need to be by the time we get in the middle, and this is how I want it to end. So I had that right off the get-go. And I started thinking about writing the film in maybe like I don't know, 2003, 2004, thinking about it, jotting down notes, little situations. I probably started writing it in 2006 and 2007. Because 2007, I did Blonde or Latin too. So I was starting to get into the mindset of a writer and a producer and a director. And so then she inspired my partner here, Margo Singaliese. She inspired the movie because...
Hi, sweetie.
Yeah, the Phantom, that's the Phantom voice. So,
I like that you've introduced her twice by her full name a couple
I know,
of times.
It's so funny. And from now on, please address me as such.
See, that's me in radio. Yeah. This is what, you know what I mean? That's my training.
Exactly. Unfortunately for me, I'm not bilingual, so Margo...
Thank you so much, Dave.
At what point did you come into the story, Margo?
Well, actually, I came...
You mean in the movie or in real life?
I left it open for interpretation.
I met a beautiful 5'7", blonde, blue-eyed Latina actress who was married, and I fell in love with her.
Fascinating. Now,
I am also bisexual. And
how did you end up meeting one another?
In a play.
In a play.
Okay.
Oh, that part, we addressed that in the movie too. There is a situation where we're meeting in a play. And so I used a lot of, like 50%.
Yeah.
The part where I imagine the naked guy. That's mostly true.
Yes.
But I think we all do that as comedians, as writers. You pull from your real life and then you just alter.
And I think that's what I meant by reaching a certain point in your life where you can realize, hey, those are the important points to consider when telling my story. And those are what some people might really well relate to. So that's what I should put out there. And I think that's the difference between somebody who's 22 just starting out and somebody who is 35 and over, who has that life experience, can say, oh, this is a story. It's not just the beginning of the story and I'm imagining what the end will be or the middle will be, but this is a pretty complete story. Yeah.
That's a good point, Dave.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So there's good and bad in this over 35 club that
that's
we
right.
find
That's right.
ourselves
Because
in.
you have the experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do agree. So then by the time I completed the script, it was 2008. I actually completed it, and then we did a staged reading because I wanted to get it up on its feet. You have to hear it.
Yeah.
And we did a very successful staged reading here in Hoboken, and we packed the house. Everybody came.
They actually wanted a run. They wanted a run. It went so well.
Of a
reading
script
when
reading.
They heard,
Yeah, they wanted two more performances, but I was...
Where did you do this?
We did it at the Monroe Arts Center here in
so
Hoboken.
it would have been like a
regular
real
show,
thing.
Yeah. But I was so beat. We did a lot of the promoting. You know, we was rehearsing. I was directing it. I directed the stage. We had light cues. We had sound cues. So it was very elaborate stage reading.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then that was successful. And people was like, why don't you make it a play? And I'm like, no, it's a screenplay, because it was a stage reading of a screenplay. It always started off as a screenplay, a movie. Mm-hmm. So I said, but it's a movie. It's a movie. It's not a play. The guy pops up. You have to have special effects.
That's expensive.
In theater, he's just going to walk in. We don't have the smoke and the mirrors and all that.
Yeah.
So,
but
it was less expensive to produce it as a play.
Oh, well, of course.
Than to film it as a movie.
Well, I'm sure, but as a full-scale production, if you really were going to do it, I'm sure it would cost quite a bit more.
We did tell them where we did it, which was helpful. With the play.
What do you mean, the play?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the play we did in the Fringe. This is what happened.
So you did turn it into a play.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because what happened was everybody who saw the stage reading were like, it works live, the jokes work, the situations work, it's funny. And the story's there, it's great. And I was like, I didn't want to adapt it. Adapting is really hard. It's choppy. A movie's choppy. You go from scene to scene to scene. Scenes are short. Theater, you're in one place. It's just completely different. So I adapted it the best I could, sent it to one festival, the New York City Fringe Festival, and it got in. And I was like, okay, I guess the universe is telling me I got to produce this thing and make this play.
It's got some legs.
So I did that. It went well. We had 5 sold-out productions. 2 of them were canceled by Hurricane Irene, though.
Oh,
we were
only
really
time
upset.
in New York's history, and it was us.
Yeah,
there was something telling you to do it, and there was something else telling you not to.
Yes. But that was already past the point, the hurricane. I wish that the hurricane would have told me to not do it sooner.
And if you could have given us some advance notice, Irene, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
Just let us know those 2 days wouldn't be available.
She wasn't a friend.
Yeah.
So we could reschedule.
Right, of course.
So I did that, and then I went back to trying to find investors, because now it had a buzz. Now people knew about it.
We also had a theater company. You forgot to say. We did for 7 years. We had a theater company called Kismet. So we did a lot of things through that too, and we built up a big basis of support, Dave.
Here in Hoboken and Hudson County.
Interesting.
We have a huge constituency, like the Jersey City Festival. I mean, we have like really, we literally have like local fans, like people that follow us.
They're
like,
wonderful.
local bands.
Really
like local
great.
bands. Yeah, it's awesome. They
that's
follow us everywhere.
That's kind of oomph that can get your project from the idea stage to like really getting out there.
And that's what kind of happened. We people heard about it, and basically had people lending me money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And got the investors, loaned me money, put some of my own money in it, and made the movie. By 2013, I had the money I needed, the basic money.
Yeah.
And then 2014, we did it. We produced it. I have an incredible cast, extremely talented, funny. It's truly an ensemble piece. I mean, everyone is. People literally said, Jezabel, even the extras are funny.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's true.
It's really, really
and
special.
I think Kevin picked up on that, because if you saw a funny extra, he would like do a bit with that person.
Okay.
It worked.
Yeah.
That was his thing. That was his
really
style.
was
He would
great
get
at
like a
that.
small character in the background and have a funny bit. It was very good. It was very
That's
unique
great.
of him.
Yeah.
And then we had an amazing producer, Peter Iengo, and the cast is stellar. So we finished it last year, and then we were submitting it to festivals this year. And so far we got into 10 film festivals. We won 2 awards for Best Feature, which is really exciting, because that means they liked everything about it. As opposed to Best Actor or Best Screenplay.
Right.
And you won?
I won an Indie Fest award for female filmmaker.
That's
an award
great.
of merit for female filmmaker. So it's going well. It's traveling. This weekend, if I'm going to do a plug, we have for those who have don't have anything to do and want
And
to
you're
see
not listening to this 2 years from now.
great movie. That's right. We're at the Golden Door Film Festival. All you have to do is go to goldendoorfilmfestival.org and plug in Cassanova. Search Cassanova Was A Woman. Cassanova with 2 S's was a woman. And we have a show Friday at 4 at the Lowe's in Jersey City,
Gorgeous
downtown Jersey City.
1923 theater.
I love that.
Beautiful.
It's really
It's
awesome.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then Saturday at 5:15 at the Hepburn Hall at Jersey City State.
Very cool.
New Jersey City
But at
State
the same
University.
time, simultaneously, it's
Listen to
playing at the
this.
Broad Humor Festival in Los Angeles.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's Friday in LA, the main feature at 7:30 at night.
So this interview doesn't just relate to people who are in Jersey City. This is a national appeal.
Yeah, it's even
which is
in
awesome.
Romania now.
Which is fantastic.
It's in Bucharest, Romania.
We're hitting this at the perfect time. Yes.
Okay, but it's in Bucharest, Romania too in November.
So if you're in Bucharest, Romania, or you're
As so many people are.
well, I mean, obviously there have to be somebody. Otherwise, why name it? So Margo, you're in it.
Yes.
And are you playing you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
playing a version of myself.
A version,
very
though, a version of
neurotic.
her.
Because I have to say, the film, of course, Jez is a brilliant writer. She's very, very convincing, and people come up and say, gee, I'm sorry to hear you had that much trouble in your relationship. But the God's honest truth is the relationship went smoothly. But it didn't make a great movie. And so Jez
it's boring.
Yeah,
Well, sure.
it's boring.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Happy stories are great for a
come
30-second,
on, over and out, done.
Yeah.
Hallmark commercial.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. 30 seconds is about as much anybody wants to hear about people having a good time.
Yeah, beat it.
After that,
Drudgery
give
and
us
depression.
some drama. Give us some eye scratching and stuff.
Conflict, yeah.
So working with her as a director and as an actor.
wasn't the director.
Oh,
Kevin
I'm
was
sorry.
the director.
Kevin was the director.
Producer.
As producer
The
slash
major boss.
Yes, of course. I don't know what I'm thinking. So working with somebody who was really the creative visionary behind it, as well as an actor, and somebody you have an intimate relationship with.
How is that?
On your personal level? Yeah.
Acting together.
I was in the doghouse most of the day.
Acting together is sublime. We met as actresses. I think when we produce together, we're both very strong personalities. So I think when we produce together, we kind of clash a little bit. But we have such... I would say
We
over
get
the
past
years,
it. We
we're
get past
16
it.
years together. Over the years, we've really learned. Yeah.
Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
And it's been-
I was 20 at the time because I'm just recently over 35. So
That's right.
yeah,
Nobody knows what
We
anybody
kill
looks like
ourselves with
here.
math, don't we?
I know. We kill ourselves.
So actually, I think we've learned over the years to work better. We were always good as actors together, but I think we learned to work better as
Because the dynamic is
producers.
different when you're a producer, actor, director,
Yeah.
actor.
Absolutely.
The dynamic is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
You're
But didn't
equals
you
as
directed
actors.
the stage version?
I directed the stage
Okay, so
version.
were you in the stage version
I
also?
produced,
Okay,
and
so
I produced that.
yeah,
So
the experience of working in a very intense environment and then coming home with each other and were
we
you able
really
to separate
like each other as
yeah,
people.
that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a good time, and we can, even if we had disagreements or we were cranky, because you get cranky too because you have long rehearsals, we literally get past it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we
it's not
have
one of those
lots
things.
of fun together. We really we get along really well.
That helps.
Yeah.
I mean, without that, it's really hard to not only work with one another, but it's really hard
Exactly.
to live with somebody if you don't like each other. Yeah.
But I don't know. We enjoy it. We really enjoy it.
We enjoy working together. I know people think it's crazy. Some people can't work together. Some couples
Right.
can't work
Yeah.
together. We can. We have a really good time. We both bounce ideas off of each other. We tend to
laugh.
be very creative.
Yeah.
We laugh. It's
And we're honest. If something isn't working, we could say,
stop doing it. Don't do it anymore. Stop.
more. Yeah.
Obviously, there is the LGBT
aspect,
aspect of
yeah.
your film. I mean, how much support are you getting from that community?
It's a great question. That's a great question, and I have a big peeve and issue about that because I think LGBT movies tend to focus more on the L and the G, and the movie really taps into a unique section of people, sect of people that are truly could feel and identify with bisexuality. I've been in love, appreciate sex with both sexes and stuff like that. So I think there's sometimes there's backlash between lesbian and gay and LG with the bisexual because it's I'm not going to get into the psychology of it right now,
Sure.
but there is also discrimination within the LGBT community
Against bisexuals.
with bisexuals.
Isn't it funny? There's always going to be a
felt it.
majority and a minority in every group you hit.
Isn't that amazing? And I find that
I think
so
transgender is more acceptable than bisexuality.
Yeah. I find that so insulting because it's like we're all marginalized, and then you're marginalizing the marginalized.
Yes. Yeah. But I guess it's all in the effort to elbow out somebody else to get the most attention because
Maybe.
everybody is struggling in their own way, no matter what marginalized group you come from.
Yeah.
It's how marginalized do you want to be? It's like no more. I want to be the least marginalized I can be. If I'm not going to be in the majority, at least I can be the best marginalized group I can possibly make myself.
That's I've never heard it described that way. That's nice. I like that one. I remember.
You know what I actually had someone say to me, it was a gay man, and I am not in any way denigrating. I love gay people.
You didn't have to qualify that.
You know,
Right, Seinfeld. Not that there's anything
Not
wrong
that
with
there's-
that.
I was just going to say that. But he literally said, well, we call it gay. Wait a minute. Gay, straight, and lie. And I said, really, why? Yeah, and he said, well, we feel that people are just trying to pass. We're not able to pass as easily as Jezabel and I are both feminine women, right?
Yeah.
So they feel that, oh, you're calling yourself bisexual, so you have it easier to begin with. You're very feminine, and also it's just, you're saying you're bisexual. You're just passing in the world.
Well, that doesn't seem fair.
No, until
Well,
a
it's
therapist
also being
once said to me-
judgmental.
A
It's also
therapist
just being
literally
judgmental.
said, I remember in one session when I was coming out, because I was not only an actor, I was a teacher in his community, and I was scared. I was afraid I was going to lose many things.
Sure.
And I said, well, like being gay. And she said, what makes you think you were gay? You had all these relationships with men. There is such a thing as bisexuality. So that's what we're saying. People in the community aren't as accepting, and it's hurtful.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is, and I the idea is definitely addressed in the movie, and that's what makes it a unique take, because it's really it's really addressing the discrimination in the LGBT community. So what happens is, I think sometimes a lot of the major LGBT festivals, and I will say, Outfest LA and the Toronto LGBT Film Festival, which is huge. There's another Chicago Film Festival that's reeling. We've been turned down. And I have a feeling, because how many big names, and these festivals, Dave, I got to tell you, the politics is, they're no longer really independent. They're just Hollywood players making films with their own money.
Yeah, it's kind of a label, maybe a misleading label.
It's a misleading label. They're no longer independent. But what I say is, how many indie films are you going to have with LGBT subject matter, and then below that with bisexual subject matter with stars?
Right.
Not that many.
Right.
So the fact that we're being turned down it's obvious that, to me anyway.
But the
and this is
younger
my
crowd
pulpit.
is better, because
That's what I was
remember
about to say.
Springfield,
The
the
younger
younger
crowd.
are better.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think both the guy at All Things
Right, but the people who
Hollywood
run
and
the major players at these really big
the
film
smaller
festivals,
where the people are younger,
Yeah.
they're better.
Yeah, I figured like
This
20
new
years from
generation.
now, the group
Thing
now,
of the
like the
past.
young adult people right now.
Generation Z, they're calling
Generation Z, whatever the heck,
Yeah.
independent. I don't know. They're just
today. They just
Generation
call them
G.
that today.
They're just all run by major labels. Let's be honest.
right.
But people who are in that generation seem to not care about
Right, they
a
don't.
lot of the labels
No, they
that
don't.
our predecessors put so much importance on.
Isn't that
so?
fabulous?
Hopefully that
Hopefully.
will interweave people a bit more.
Yes.
and because it's,
right now it's still being run by the generations, I would say middle-aged people, and
Right,
they're,
right.
they're
Which-
they still want the obvious, clear label of lesbian or gay as opposed to bisexual. And the young people will say that. We've had the festivals that we have been in, they've actually said to us, they've been 25-year-olds, and they actually said, Jezabel, this is the first movie that addresses that it's okay to fluctuate, and it's okay
Yes.
to go from men to women to women to men. And I haven't seen that. And these are young people that consider themselves bisexual or even gay,
Yeah.
but they're young
Yeah.
and they're like,
It's
But they're
is
more
refreshing.
open-minded.
They're more
Yeah.
open-minded.
Yeah.
We're
And I
going in
think-
the right direction.
Yeah, I think the internet has helped a lot, because people can now communicate with one another and break down the barriers that might be there if they were in a room with a bunch of people
Right.
and have trouble approaching somebody and saying, hey, is that how you feel about things? 'Cause it takes a lot of time to break down that barrier in a conversation of saying to somebody, what sex are you, or what sex are you attracted to, or what
That's
gender
true.
are you
That's
attracted
true.
to? So the internet gives you that little veil of an anonymity plus a safe place to congregate and say,
That's
hey,
a
is
good
this normal? And the more you find out that everything is kind of normal,
Right.
then nothing is abnormal, and
That's
then you
right.
can kind of move on with your life. And I think if you think 20 years ago, the idea we can even have this discussion is
Openly.
absurd.
Openly would be
Openly. It's like and no big deal either.
Right.
If you guys both identify yourselves as bisexual, and I'm like, okay, great.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Great.
There's nothing else to say about it. Okay, cool.
What's for dinner? It's like
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's as
Exactly.
relevant, and it's as irrelevant as my being heterosexual.
Right.
It just doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because it's a small sliver of our individual lives. So
That's right. And it's a small sliver of who you are too.
Yeah.
Like I also don't ever use this expression, oh, this is who I am, this is who I No. The fact that I'm bisexual is not who I am. It's an aspect of who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not only Cuban.
doesn't totally
I'm not
define
only
you.
Yeah, it doesn't that label, and it's addressed in the movie too, doesn't one aspect of who you are is not the label that defines the sum of who you are.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But don't you find it's true that the coasts east and west of the United States seems to be more liberal?
Absolutely. And well, I mean, and part of it is just you put enough land in between two people, it's harder to find common ground.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we're driving west to a film festival, and I don't mean to hijack this whole thing, but I remember driving west to Cleveland Film Festival, and I was just flipping along the stations, and the stations went, I just did the scan thing where it would stop on the available stations. It went Bible Station, Rush Limbaugh,
Yes. Come on, are you
Rush
serious?
Limbaugh, Bible Station, and that's it.
Really?
And they consider that their media, and if that's all you have access to, that's what you're going to have drilled into you. And I'm not blaming anybody for falling into that, but at the same time, I'm also kind of blaming people for perpetuating these ideas without expanding their minds and realizing what else is out there.
Well, we went to Nebraska.
This is what I was going to say. Yeah, we were invited to the University of Nebraska in Kearney, and you couldn't have a smaller, more conservative religious town. As Kearney, Nebraska, they have 30,000 people, if that. And so we were invited out there because I knew one of the professors, and she really liked the movie. I had sent her a copy.
She used it in her queer
and
lit
And now,
program.
now
PhD.
it's. I was gonna say, they liked it so much, and they were so, excited about having something so different. They got the jokes, they got the humor. Of course, these are young kids. This is the generation we're talking about, and they're young university college kids. But still, they're from there, and they still had things to say that sounded a bit, conservative, and
Especially the critic.
based from their environment, right? And then, but the idea is that they really appreciated having something like that introduced to them. So you never know. You know what I mean? You can't judge either.
It.
No, but you can't judge.
In relief, I think a few of them did, because there were a few bisexual kids there.
Yeah, and there still is a rooted generation after generation
of that
bias.
conservatism.
Yeah, there's a bias against what they feel on the inside, and that's very unfortunate. And it does make me feel glad to have grown up like on the East Coast, where these
in a
thoughts,
big city,
or close enough to a big city,
yeah.
and with parents who didn't make a big deal,
right?
They said, oh, okay. Whatever anybody was, that was that's what they are.
But my point is that the thing is, we shouldn't generalize either about the Midwest, because here we are.
Oh, they're all bad.
No,
but I see your point.
No, because we introduced this and we were like, oh God, what are they going to think? Are they going to laugh? Are they going to be insulted? They loved it. They really loved it. And this is what I was going to say. The best part of the story is it's now, Cassanova Was A Woman is now part of the queer lit curriculum. They're going to study it every semester and analyze it. And
so as much as we're believing that the coast is so liberal, but in fact,
at the university
there's
level,
so many open-minded people everywhere.
Well, that's just what making connections is all about. And when you have a work like yours that is helping
relevant.
people, and helping people connect to something.
Yes.
My thought is, for your next act, do you feel a certain amount of pressure to uphold that level of
totally.
Do I have to do something really important next, or do you feel like whatever, how do you feel about your next project, whatever that might be?
Well, I did tell you, remember I told you, I go, Jesus Christ, Mark, I don't think I can write something that's funny again.
Oh, I'm sure she can. But
because you really kind of say, oh God, is it going to be as funny? Mm-hmm. But yes and no. I don't feel that, because, I see writers out there and they do have, there's a style, but they do have different things, and my next project, I do have a sitcom comedy series that I've written that's very relevant and modern to what's going on today, but I can't talk about it. I can't say the title of it.
That's all right.
But I do have a screenplay that I can talk about. It's called The Duke and Duchess of Queens, and it's going to be completely different. It's a dramedy, and it's loosely based on my upbringing. 2 little kids growing up completely different in the poor neighborhood in 1970s Queens. And they're 2 completely different cultures. This is more going to
20
be
years
more,
before you were born.
Right.
Yes.
He's quick, our
Right.
Dave.
Well, no, it starts off when I'm 2 in 1978.
Okay.
Yes.
Something like that. Math does kill us.
The math kills us.
But the idea here is the cultural thing. It's more of a cultural identity, and the commentary and the ideas and issues are going to be more cultural than sexual, than as far as the sexual stuff.
In other words, what you're saying is you're not making it your life's goal to just be an activist for, let's say,
for just LGBT.
Yeah.
But I do want my films to mean something.
Absolutely.
They have to be socially
this
relevant.
One was about this issue.
They have to
Yeah.
be socially relevant. I don't really like doing things that, I am a huge fan of Seinfeld, but actually I think there are things that you can talk about Seinfeld that were political in of itself, and they just weren't obvious. But I tend to be political. I tend to be an activist, so I tend to want to, but I love comedy, so I tend to want to do things with satire and stuff like that. So that will be something that will be prevalent.
Yeah, and I think stuff like, when you add a comedy to something or you add entertainment to something, that's a serious issue. Yeah, so the palatability becomes enormous and makes your message that much more effectively delivered, which is great. It's like a spoonful of sugar.
That's what you
put
always
things
say. That's what she
to
says.
music.
Yes,
put anything
absolutely.
to music.
Yeah, in fact, I always say that, if your comedy show has some music in it, even if the jokes aren't all that funny, people will be like, hey, that was really good because someone played music,
And bringing me to, we're doing this whole stream of consciousness thing. James L. Brooks once said that comedy was music. He would listen behind the scenes.
See, I didn't know that, and I say comedy is music.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that, but I'm a musical person. I used to play trumpet when I was a kid. I can read music, and I danced. So, and that's where my physical comedy comes in. I do a lot of physical comedy. If you see the movie, you'll see it. And so, but I do believe comedy is music because it does have a rhythm. It does have a boom, a pace.
It's all a jazz in that way.
It's like jazz. Yeah. Totally.
Very cool. Well, how do people find out more about the film?
Okay, for Cassanova Was A Woman, you can go to the Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Cassanova Was A Woman. Hashtag is Cassanova Was A Woman movie. You can go to my personal website. It's fuacatafilms.com.
You're gonna have to help me on that one.
See, fuacata is a word that we use in Spanish to make impact. It means impact.
Oh.
Fuacata, like bam.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
In Spanish,
All
bam.
right.
So fuacata is F as in Frank, UACATA, fuacatafilms.com.
Good. Okay.
And then you can also go to the festival websites to see the movie.
Okay.
That's goldendoorfilmfestival.org. Just search Cassanova Was A Woman with 2 S's. And then if you're in LA, this same weekend, Broad Humor, broad meaning the pun, the broad humor,
yes.
we're in the Broad Humor. It's a female comedian festival.
Yes.
So Broad
Broads.
Humor, broads.
The only time we're okay with it.
We're okay with it because
You're
we're at a
okay with it.
festival.
Yeah.
Otherwise we hate it.
Yeah, right.
Broadhumor.com. Just go to that website. We're the first feature that pops up, actually. Broadhumor.com.
And talk
cool.
about the one in Fort Lauderdale.
We have the one in Fort Lauderdale, but I don't have the link or information yet. It's the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival, International Film Festival. That's in November. We're in the La Femme Film Festival in LA again in mid-October.
Yeah.
Wow.
But please, what I do want to say is please like the page, because the more likes we get of the page, the more buzz is created and generated. So just go to Cassanova Was A Woman film page and hit like, and that way you'll get all the notifications of the screenings.
Awesome.
And we intend to have many more screenings.
And if
Many
people want
more.
to follow both of you, what's the best way to get in touch
The
with
best way
both
is
of you?
at Jezabel Montero on Twitter. What do you got?
At Margo Singaliese on Twitter. And,
Spell that for me.
And then we have
Singaliese, spell Singaliese.
Oh God,
So people can-
Singaliese. And
Did you just
anglicized.
balk at spelling your own last name as though it was a challenge?
She hates
For a
doing
moment.
that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's really, that's the anglicized version. Can you deal?
Fair enough.
There it is.
It's really Singaliese.
Singaliese.
Yeah.
That was good. I like what you hummed that.
I can fake it pretty good.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I
Oh, thank you
appreciate it
so
too.
much,
We're on
Dave.
Instagram too, Jezabel Montero on
yeah.
Instagram.
Just got it in under the wire.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Jezabel Montero Margo Singaliese. Very, very fun people to talk with. I'm so glad I had a chance to, catch up with Jezabel and reconnect with her, and then to meet Margo, who is also an equally fun, energetic, enthusiastic person. And when you have two people like that, bouncing the energy off of one another, great things can happen. And I predict big things for them and their film, Cassanova Was A Woman. If you want to hear more about Cassanova Was A Woman, find out when the screenings will be at the various festivals that they mentioned, you can go to the Cassanova Was A Woman page on Facebook. Just look for it. Make sure you spell Cassanova with 2 S's. You can find out a heck of a lot more about that film and all of their projects at fuacatafilms.com. I'll never get tired of saying that. Rather than spell it, just go to the website, bringyourownlunch.com. I'll have a link to Fuacata Films in the show notes for this episode. And if you want to keep in touch with Jezabel and or Margo, you can follow them on Twitter at Jezabel Montero, at Margo Singaliese. And again, those links will be in the show notes for this episode at bringyourownlunch.com. Thanks to Margo and to Jezabel for being very cool and for opening up their home in Hoboken, and being fantastic hosts and having a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. Great. Good stuff. Awesome. And thank you. All right, that about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Glad you can join us. Thank you. Also, thank you, Banuba. That's the band that's playing the music you're listening to right now. Go to their website, download their music, buy their music, go see them live. They're awesome live. Tell them Dave says hi. They support us by sharing their art with us. The least I can do is encourage you to go enjoy them. Also, don't forget to go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. That's where you can find all the information about the guests on this program, past, present, and presumably future. You can send me a personal email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com. You can like us on Facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. You can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at bringyourownlunch. Don't forget to hashtag BYOL. And if you really want to support us, you have some time, please go to iTunes or Stitcher, rate, review, subscribe to Bring Your Own Lunch. Let them know that we're doing a good job so they can let other people know we're doing a good job and more people can listen. And we can keep doing this and having more people listen. I know I'm oversimplifying things, but it's a simple thing. Stay tuned for Jimmy Jack's Cow Punch Hour, followed by Mansoor and the Fish. And until next week, when I have another great guest lined up, this is Dave. I'll see you next week. I'll let the dog out.